Welcome to another edition of the McEnulty Method. I'm your host, Bill of Ashwick, and I'm joined by financial experts Frank McEnulty and Colin Sorrells. And they're here to give you the tools you need to create the future you want. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I understand that the topic today will be budgeting. So I'll just jump right into it. Let's say someone's moving ahead financially. They've got a job and a bank account. So how do they create a budget?
That's a loaded question.
Well, the first thing is, what do you absolutely positively have to spend each month to live? So
Right, needs and wants.
there's needs and wants. You have a place to live, it costs $1,000 a month. Okay. That's one thing on your budget. You got to pay utilities. Two things on your budget. You have to buy some food.
Gotta eat.
Three things on your budget. Okay, so those are the things you absolutely have to do. Depending on, and everything else is optional to a certain extent. Yeah, okay, you gotta buy clothes now and then, but
Can't run around.
you gotta figure out exactly what you absolutely need, and then the rest is pretty much optional. Whether or not you go, how often you go out, that's optional. You can, and what we want to try to get, what I always think, people don't want to have a budget that's so austere that it's painful. Like, well, I can never go out. I can never, and you guys all know, Starbucks and I, not on speaking terms, but if you really, really, really like Starbucks, well, then get one once a week. So it's a treat, but put it in your budget. Okay, I'm going to spend $750 a week on Starbucks, which is going to be $400 a year. $750 a week doesn't sound like much, but when you say 750 times 52, $400 is like, oh wait, that's real money. And I think sometimes it helps people put those things in, annual numbers to see, well, how much am I really spending on this? And so
It's like the reverse of saving.
it's a reverse of, but and quite honestly, you should also, in your budget, in your needs, how much do I need to save for what I want to accomplish? I told a story at an event here on campus the other day. A girl grew up across the street from us. She had an okay job. Didn't but she really, really, really wanted to buy a condo. And she wasn't going to make it on her job. And so she goes, okay, I don't need to be sitting home every night. So literally, she started driving and delivering pizzas at night to save up money, to fill that part of her budget. And until she got enough money saved up with her other savings where she could put a down payment on a condo. So part of the budgeting process is, what do you really want?
Set your goals.
Yeah, setting goals. I think most people are fairly tight with money most of the time. And part of the budgeting process is, how do I set myself up so that I don't have to worry about money all the time? If something breaks, something falls apart, there's just some emergency or something really cool comes along that I just really I really like to do. There are things, then you can feel comfortable doing it. So, as Colin said at the beginning of this, it's a lot of it's needs versus wants.
So here's how I broke it down. Actually, I missed the first step, which is you need to set the goal. Because to your point, you might set a goal and whatever you're bringing in as far as income may not be enough to get that goal. And then you got to adjust the income. But let's say after that step, right? You gotta know what you're bringing in. Then you need your fixed costs, which are your needs. So gotta have a roof, gotta have utilities, gotta have food, and then you buy clothes sometimes. But then it's before you even get to the one, pay yourself first, which is I think Frank what you're talking about, the savings, right? Okay, so after I take care of what I need to live, what do I need to save? And then whatever's left over, that can be for your wants. And you spend that on whatever you want, right? Because you're taking care of your needs, you put your money away for saving, and then you can have fun with whatever's left over.
And part of it is, part of your budget should be, if you reach a certain goal, then you can treat yourself.
To a Starbucks.
Well,
you do a little
Starbucks-
bit more than Starbucks.
You can say, okay, part of my goal on saving this money and living on this budget is, part of it's gonna go to, a week in Hawaii. Or, a week in Canberra, just whatever you want. Or once a month, you can go out to, the expensive restaurant to eat. What I found over time, though, if you don't do too many of those things, they become less important. Then,
But that psychologically, right? We talk about getting good habits with budgeting, saving, all that. If you never, some people are built this way. Some people, it's like, I'm saving every penny I possibly can, and they just live for 30 years like that, and that's fine. They retire with lots of money and they're doing fine. For a lot of people, though, if you never do anything fun, if you try to live by this very strict budget, it makes it a chore. It makes it hard to, you want to break the habit because it doesn't feel good. So you got to, I think I'm with you. You got to treat yourself from time to time.
you gotta have fun. Otherwise, what's the sense? I have a friend, and I like to, and he has lots of money.
Throw somebody under the bus.
I'm not naming names. He has lots of money, owned his own business, did very well and everything else. But, sometimes it's like, hey, let's do this. Oh, that's too expensive. And I always say the same thing. You're gonna make your children very happy when you die. Because, because he's gonna leave them a lot of money because he's not spending it. But he's developed that habit over the course of his lifetime. And I know in the beginning, running your own business, starting your own business, things are very tight. You don't spend money, you don't do things. And it just became a habit over 40 years that now it's like really hard to break the habit. And so, but really, we're sort of getting off track here, I think.
Well, not entirely, because I had a follow-up question for you, and you've hit on a couple of things. Because the follow-up was, do you have any tips for sticking to a budget? And you mentioned like treating yourself once in a while. I'm just wondering, anything else that springs to mind?
Have a system, like, okay, I'm gonna put this much away for saving. I'm gonna put this much away for fun stuff. I'm gonna put this much, just something where you don't have to always think about it. When we get to investing topics, one of the things we tell people is just don't even think about it. Just, I'm gonna put $100 away on this day every month. I'm not gonna try and time it or do anything crazy, or, just keep it simple. I mean, that's one of the best things I ever did, was you have a system and you just follow the system.
It is, but you also don't want to beat yourself up if you don't follow the system 1 month.
Right.
Or, it's a fluid situation. But, keeping track of your budget, well, you know what you spend on rent. You pretty much probably know what your utility bills are a month. One thing that people don't do anymore is they don't reconcile their checking account at the end of the month. We always used to reconcile our checking account. So you go through and you see everything you spent during the month, and you had canceled checks so you could see where your money went. Now that's a lot harder, especially with people using debit cards. Just, well, I've got money. It keeps working. I must have money. That's one of the reasons I actually like paying for things with cash. You know, if at the beginning of the month, you say, okay, I have $500 to spend on food and entertainment, going out with friends. Okay, well, you put $500 away or aside. You don't wander around with it in your wallet the whole time, because you know things can happen. You lose your wallet in that, but you put the money in there, and it's it's a lot different actually spending cash than it is a credit card. Even for me, it's easy. I just whip out the credit card and
Just
here you
tap.
go. I'll pay it. But you know, when you look in your wallet and go, "Whoa, wait, I'm almost out of money."
Maybe I don't need that as much.
You know, yeah. And there's another thing. One thing that you know people say, the internet's made it too easy to buy stuff. And one thing that people do with the internet is they put it in their shopping cart and they walk away. And maybe come back 3 days later. Well, two things happen. One, 3 days later, you go, I don't need this. Get it out of my shopping cart. Or, and my brother turned me on to this, you start getting emails from the people that you're shopping at going, you know, we saw you wanted to buy this, but you haven't hit buy. How about a 10% discount? And I did that on a couple things. You guys know I'm not a big shopper, but I did that on a couple things, and sure enough, they send emails saying, hey, you know, if you buy now, we'll give you 10% off, 15% off. It's like, but the first one's the most important one. Do I really need this?
Yeah, I call that the 7-day rule.
7 days.
You may not even need 7, but
Yeah.
always wait at least a week, and then see if you still really need
Yeah.
it.
And budgeting is a learned response like everything else. You're not gonna be an expert at it day one. Well, some people are, but most people aren't. It's a habit. Like Collins, it's a habit. You save some money, you get used to saving money. You get excited when your bank account starts growing, when your savings account goes up. You feel my whole goal in life now is to get people to feel comfortable.
I think that's an excellent goal. And actually that leads me to from Noel. And this is here's what Noel wrote. I'm having a hard time keeping track of my budget, especially when I have new expenses on my or my income changes. It feels like my money just disappears without me noticing. Are there any budgeting tools or apps that you would recommend?
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
You know, quite honestly, I think one of the best tools is just learn to look at your bank account every month and track where the money's going. Because like I said, people don't do that anymore. They just use debit cards, the money goes in, the money goes out, no one ever checks their bank. They may check their bank balance every morning. Oh, I got $500 left. Okay, I'm good. But see where your money's going to. And a lot of banks and a lot of credit, especially credit unions, they will allow you to, I know School's First Credit Union does that because I have an account there. If you spend 10 minutes once a month, you can go through and put everything that was spent through the account into a certain category. So you can see real quickly, okay, well, this much went to rent, this much went to car payment, this much went to utilities, this much went to this much went, oh, what did I spend that on?
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it's a state of mind.
But it does help to be able to visualize, and you are right, always check with your credit union. Credit unions usually have a lot of tools, banks do too, so check with wherever you're keeping your money, because a lot of them do now have tools to, I even have to set it up. I had on one of my cards, they broke it down for me. They categorized it based on where the money went for me, so I could see.
Oh, they do that.
So they're getting smart.
Credit cards do that.
But as far as tools, I mean, we always use good old Excel, but for people may not as comfortable, you know, I'm sure there's a lot out there. Pocket Guard's one people have recommended to me. Just for, again, the visualization of, oh man, this is what I'm spending on rent, or, you know, very, you know, your wants harder to track. You're gonna have to go in and do some work there. But for the fixed, you know, to be able to see, wow, this is all the money that's definitely going out this month. Can I really afford this next expense? Or, you know, when your income changes, that's something you can track too. A lot of places will let you see how much is expected to be coming in, and are you green or red? That's always
Yep.
want to stay on the green.
All right.
In golf and in finance.
Well, thank you guys. That was really good stuff. And Noel, I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you stay in the green.
Stay in the green.
Now, on our next episode, I understand you're going to reveal some secrets about credit scores. And that can really help folks take another step towards a successful financial future. So for you listening again, don't miss this one. You're going to find out how to make credit scores work for you instead of against you. So thanks for listening. And if you want to learn more, you can check out other episodes at our YouTube channel at The McEnulty Method, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. See you next time on The McEnulty Method.